Hello, Billo here with a short story. Magic Man by William L. Ramseyer. John Anderson had a boring name and an exciting life. On Fridays he met his co-workers for happy hour at the Century Tavern, a bar on the first floor of the office building where he worked, next to the cleaners and gift shop run by the Koreans. This Friday, John returned from a meeting around 4:30, and since he was closer to the bar than to his office, he decided, as a matter of efficiency, to start happy hour early. But first, he stopped at the gift shop and bought a candy bar. As he walked out of the store, he unwrapped the chocolate zapper, put it in his mouth, and bit down. At that exact moment, someone tapped him on the shoulder. John turned and found a happy clown, face leering at him from 6 inches away. The clown wore an old-fashioned nightshirt and stocking cap, just like in the television commercial. Behind him, a trio of other clowns waved marching band instruments. They began playing and singing the ad slogan, "Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay, zip yourself a zapper today." The clown in the nightshirt handed John a 3-foot-long candy bar. "And don't forget to have a zapper tonight, too." John thanked him, more out of habit than appreciation. The ad stunt irritated him. He walked to the door of the bar, pushed it open with the end of the super zapper, and entered the small, dark room. This month, the owners had decorated the bar in the style of the 1890s. Next month, they might go back to a Mexican bandit motif and hang photos of Pancho Villa on the walls, or maybe try an African safari decor and name all of the drinks after wild animals. I tell you this so that if you go to the bar to investigate the truth of this story, you will not be confused by changes in decor. You will recognize the place by its regular customers. 3 aging secretaries who sit where the light is dimmest and smoke pastel-colored cigarettes, and a heavy man in a wrinkled suit who never closes his mouth and who pounds the bar with his right hand after each joke. John's co-workers hadn't arrived yet, so John picked out a booth where he could watch the door. As he had for the last 3 weeks, he ordered a bottle of his latest discovery, Joe beer. Like all of us, John loved to discover exciting new products before others did. The waitress brought him his bottle, leaning her breasts over him while she filled his glass in the classic gesture of "tip big and show me that you're a man, a big man." John touched the beer to his lips. Suddenly from across the room, a rock band started blasting out the Joe Beer commercial. "Friend, when you need a buddy, talk to Joe, he's your friend." 2 blonde girls in bikinis, Joes in each hand, slithered to the rock music. They made their way over to John and sat down next to him. One ran her fingers through his hair and the other slipped her hand inside his shirt. "Any friend of Joe's is a friend of mine," she whispered. "A special kind of friend." A muscular blond man ran up to the booth. "Hey, buddy," he yelled. "If you ever need a friend, remember, just call Joe." John glanced past the blond man and immediately slunk down in the booth. John's supervisor stood near the bar entrance, looking around for someone and looking very angry. The supervisor spotted John, stalked up to him, pointed a finger in the air, and waved it. The blond man turned and offered a bottle of Joe to the advancing supervisor. "Thanks, I never drink that piss water." "Hey, if you ain't no friend of Joe's, then you ain't no friend of mine." Mr. Muscles grabbed the supervisor and heaved him across the bar. He turned back towards John and smiled. "If you ever need a friend, just call on Joe." "Oh my God, I'll be fired," said John, "and probably sued too." He quickly finished the beer and ordered another, this time a schmaltz, that is, anything but a Joe. As he began gulping it, a second rock group appeared on the stage, playing the schmaltz jingle while the first band turned up their amplifiers and restarted the "Count on Joe" ad song. Meanwhile, a bull smashed its giant red head through the plaster behind the bar, cleared the shelves of bottles with its horns, pushed its body through the wall, lifted its shaggy, ugly head and snorted once as people raised their bottles of schmaltz and yelled, "Ole!" It's got to be some kind of marketing gimmick, thought John. He turned to a girl standing near his booth. She held a bottle of schmaltz. "You're an actress, right?" There was a rising edge of panic in his voice. This is some kind of TV commercial, isn't it? Where are the cameras?" She smiled, gave him a big kiss and a hug. "I always get what I want from a man who drinks schmaltz." She started unbuttoning John's shirt. He struggled free and ran, but as the bull blocked the bar exit, he could only run in the other direction, to the bathroom. It was quiet inside the men's room. John spent several minutes talking to himself in the mirror. Then he carefully restored his face to a semblance of calm, although a violent muscle tic in his left cheek detracted from the desired effect. Having renewed his courage, John resolved to answer all questions, although if you could have then asked him what questions, he could not have told you, since such questions should not exist. John left the bathroom, went up to the bar counter, and ordered 20 different kinds of beers. "I'm fine, just fine," he said, even though the barman hadn't asked him how he felt. John carefully lined up the open beers, threw back his shoulders, and sneered. Then he started tasting them one after the other. The barroom filled up with basketball players, hockey teams, jockeys, umpires, cowboys, a dog with a black eye, and scores of beautiful women and handsome men, all waving bottles and cans. Everywhere people kissed, screamed, or fought, while on the stage 30 musicians pushed each other to gain playing space. Brown women in hula skirts, tall Scandinavian girls in snow-covered ski jackets, and belly dancers in almost nothing struggled to pull off John's clothes. He grabbed his pants, pulled them up, and ran out the door, his mouth working in a silent scream. "Hey, buddy, you owe me for 22 beers, yelled the bartender. John ran across the passageway. The clowns had disappeared. The woman in the snack shop looked up briefly at him and then returned to her counting ledgers. Outside, a dull sun watched over gray buses and angry happy hour commuters. John leaned against the concrete wall and sighed. He pulled out a cigarette, lit it, and inhaled deeply. It didn't really surprise him when the car horn started. A herd of cattle had blocked the boulevard. A cowboy wearing a pressed plaid shirt and a perfectly folded red scarf guided his horse through the traffic and over to John. He reached down with an open pack of cigarettes, thumbed one out of the pack, and pushed it towards John. "Have a Dodgetown, partner. Have a man smoke." John ran. No one has seen him at work or anywhere else in town since. There's a rumor, unconfirmed, that he lives in the wooded hills of southern Oregon. He doesn't have a television, radio, or even electricity. He never goes to the store, eats only what he can grow or find in the woods. He makes his own beer and is trying to grow his own tobacco. You, dear reader, may mark him down in your book of experience as just another of those ex-hippie types, driftwood from the 60s, left behind by the modern world. But you wouldn't say that if you could see the terror in his eyes when someone pops open a can of soda or lights up a brand name cigarette. Poor guy. But hey, maybe some people just can't handle success. The end.